Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we have some more Mythic Plus dungeon tuning. I have been commending Blizzard on List Week and WoW about tuning these dungeons and classes really frequently and really well for this entire season, which I think is why a lot of people are having fun in Season 2 of the War Within here. But we'll go through these. These are just some changes, and almost all of them are very good. So let's go through these changes here. In Darkflame Cleft, Candle King's throw Darkflame health absorb is reduced by 20%. You know, that might not be the biggest thing you'll notice in this dungeon, but, you know, it is a nerf and it will make the dungeon easier. In Cinderbrew Meadery, the Hobgoblins no longer spawn brew drops on death. So this isn't like the biggest deal in the world, but it does slow down keys a lot, especially like weekly keys and stuff like that. So if you're doing really high keys, you may be like, well, I don't care about that. We just drag them onto the next group. And that's what kind of weekly keys do too, but it really slows things down in those keys. And kind of like, I don't know if people just too many frames on their screen or whatever, but things kind of can go hectic, especially if one or two of these guys die around the same time. So that's just a huge thing. Like it's just it's less pad damage, I guess, if you're a DPS player. But this is just going to save a lot of time in regular keys. And then the Yes Man health is also reduced by 10%. And that's also just going to save a little bit of time in this key. So it's, again, just like Darkflame, I wouldn't say these are gigantic nerfs, but these will save time in anybody's key, make it a little bit less punishing. Operation Mechagon Workshop, so this is going to be the only one that might have a controversial change in it here. So there's a rim visual added to the Plasma Orb in King Mechagon's encounter. This is obviously a huge quality of life. They're doing the thing now where they're trying to put outlines around everything. I'm not all in on this. I'm not someone who's like super thrilled about this, but I will say seeing like my guildmates and people's reactions to this and them like loving it, you know, it makes me more accepting of it. I'm just old school when it comes to WoW. I like this, that you can't see the outline of the swirls and you just have to play safe or whatever, or risk it. But, you know, it seems like most people don't like that. And so, generally speaking, you know, I'm a member of society. I try to go with, you know, what most people like to do. And then we also have another visual update. So, the line visual added in Mega Zap from the aerial unit in King Mechagon's encounter as well. So now there's a line visual. So the Mega Zap, you normally just take it out and you just don't stand by the person who has Mega Zap. But now there'll actually be a line for that as well, which is extremely helpful. Again, just quality of life. The Cujo health is reduced by 10%. Now, for most groups, this is going to be big. It's going to save time. It's going to make Cujo a lot less annoying. However, they have supposedly fixed the line of sighting of Cujo. So if you don't know, Cujo's the dog boss. When the boxes come down, if you stand like perfectly at a corner, you could like still hit the boss, but the boss's thing wouldn't hit you if you position the boss right. And I was always too scared to really try this. I've done it a couple times. I failed a couple times. But like in a pug group, I'm always too scared to do this. I don't want to tank the group and then have everyone yell at me. So for any group that I do, this is just going to be a time save. However, for very elite groups, this could actually end up being a buff, or like a buff to the dungeon, right? It could make the dungeon slightly harder. Even though they reduce the health of Cujo by 10%, I have to imagine in an elite group, you're probably doing more than 10% of the boss's health while you are hiding behind the crate, but maybe not. Maybe it's about 10%, but I would think maybe it's a little bit higher. We will see, because people will probably complain if so. But for most groups, this is going to be a time saver. It'll just be those most elite groups that are all able to do this, because you would need to have, you know, your entire group doing this to, you know, surpass that 10% number. If it's just one play, if you're watching this video and you're like, well, I do it, but no one else in my group does it, then it's still going to be, even though it might be annoying for you because you don't get to do anything at that point anymore, it'll still overall make the boss go faster. Now, again, if you're an elite group, that won't be the case. Prior to the Sacred Flame, we have some more changes that are just going to make the dungeon easier and faster. We have Ardent Paladin health reduced by 6%. These Paladins have been nerfed quite a bit from the beta, which is a good thing. They were very, very powerful and kind of OP. So more health reduced there. The Fever Sharpshooter's pot shot cooldown has been increased by 100%. So that's, you know, half as many pot shots done by them, which is very good. That can really stack up. Warlinks' health has been reduced by 20 and Pounce impact damage reduced by 20. So they're going to die a little bit faster, and the initial hit on you won't necessarily chunk you down quite as bad. And finally, the final boss, his health has been reduced by 12.5%, the final boss in Priory. That's actually a very big... I've never had too much trouble with Priory. I wonder if this is more of the final boss in Priory for Prioress Merprey. I wonder if this is more targeted at maybe the higher end keys. Maybe that fight can get overwhelming when it lasts too long. In like plus 10s, plus 11s, whatever, that doesn't really happen, I would say. So this is just going to be a huge nerf for that level of key, but maybe it needed nerfed at a higher level. I'm not sure. Or maybe I've just been lucky with my Priory runs that the last boss is never really the sticking point. Honestly, the second boss seems to be harder in pugs from my experience. But just another round of nerfs here, of making the dungeons better, in my opinion, faster, more timeable, less punishing. I kind of like this, and like I've said, I've been highlighting that Blizzard's been doing this. I don't do these videos very often. A lot of times they release this kind of stuff with class changes and stuff, and then I cover the Rat Paladin stuff. But you know, I do mention these like on my This Week in WoW video and stuff like that. And I did want to do a video about it, and you know, when there's nothing else to talk about, it's a very good time to do that and kind of commend these kind of good changes, and that they've been doing this the entire season. And I've seen a lot of people saying, man, I'm really just enjoying this season. And this is probably why. There's been class tuning, there's been dungeon tuning, there's been raid tuning, and you know, the devs are very active, and that generally makes the players happy, unless they of course completely miss, but they've been hitting on their changes, so that's a good thing. So that'll be it for this one, guys. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon. You can look for free. You can join for free as well. If you want to support, you can always do that. But I'm trying to like get some people over there. I've been trying to post a little bit of content there. And hopefully we'll do more in the future. But as always, everybody, have a good one.